A very good morning to you all. In the last session, we were discussing about the process flow of bioprospecting or genome prospecting. It starts from sequencing the genome and then assembly, followed by the assembly is the gene prediction and then gene annotation, and the last step is data sharing. So we have discussed in detail about each step of the flow of bioprospecting. Then we were discussing about an important concept, that is the implications of human genome research, be it in science and technology, be it in ethics, or be it in social issues. In today's session, we will discuss another concept, the most important concept of the biotechnology, that is terminator technology. We will be discussing the mechanism and consequences of the terminator gene technology. The United Nations has estimated that the global population will cross 8 billion by 2025. We are almost heading to prove that this estimation is right. Now, the important challenge is feeding the 8 billion population. So, we will be facing a severe food crisis if we do not embrace the technology to produce more food, safe food, so that the food crisis will not be there in the future. But embracing the technology is a big hurdle. There are social activists, anti-science campaigns against any new technology that involves the food and food products. And one such technology which has seen worldwide campaign against this technology is the terminator gene technology. So we'll try to understand what is the scope and relevance of this terminator gene technology, why there is so much of debate on the use of this technology, and what are the consequences of this technology on human beings. In order to understand all these issues or to decode these issues, we need to understand the nature of GMOs, that is, genetically modified organisms. Now, what are GMOs? Are we all GMO? Because there is a lot of misconception about this term genetically modified organism. If we question ourselves, are we all GMO? Then the answer will be yes. Yes, we are all GMOs. All 7 and odd billion people and all the living organisms which are sexually reproducing are GMOs. So modification of genetic constituents, it has started way back since the agriculture was started and domestication of animals was started. So you see the modification of genetic constituents in line with agriculture and domestication of animals. So modification of genetic constituents has sustained the species for generations and has fine-tuned some of the characteristics so that the species can adapt to the new environment or the changes in the environment. So this is there since the agriculture and domestication of animals began. But the debate here is that anti-social, anti-science campaign, what they say is, what the debate is, that the nature will never allow genes to move from species to species. That is, it will not allow the DNA to move from one species to another species. Is it really true? But it is not so. We have been seeing that the bacteria, they carry the DNA from one species to another and it is integrated into the appropriate host. It's a natural process. Then the genetic constituent modification is also a natural process. See, for an example, 70% of the human genome is common with the genome of sea urchin. So who did this? There is no involvement of any human. It is the natural process. It is done by the nature. If you can find 70% of the human genome in common to sea urchin, then how can you state that genetically modified organism is unnatural? So there is a misconception about this loaded term, genetically modified organisms or GMOs. As we, the students of science, understand the basic principles of the gene technology, we should also appreciate the Terminator gene technology so that this technology helps the society to overcome the food crisis in near future. As discussed in the initial stages of my lectures, if you can recollect, about 18 million people from 28 countries are growing genetically modified organisms in about 448 million acres. What is the output of this technology? If you see the grocery shelves in US, it's almost 80%, even more than 80% of the products are genetically modified organisms. GM crops have shown 22% increase in the yield, which is a very significant number, and 37% of the pesticide being used is reduced. See the impact on human health. You are using pesticide less by 37%. See what the technology has given. There is an increase in the yield of the crop by 22% and reduce in the use of pesticide by 37%. Now what is the benefit to the farmer? Farmer's benefit is about 68%. Right? So, in this case, debate for good or bad continues. Let it be on one side. So, we'll try to understand what is the mechanism of this terminator gene technology and what are its consequences. So, I leave it to you to understand whether it is good or bad about the terminator gene technology. Perception differs from individual to individual. Is that clear? Okay. When any technology tries to provide solution to the problems, especially when we are discussing about the gene technology, that is terminator gene technology, when it tries to provide a solution to the problem, it also carries, number one, the social issues, the economic issues, and the ecological issues. As an example, the Green Revolution. With the advent of the Green Revolution, there was significant decrease in the biodiversity. And we have seen that increase in pesticide use was associated with the advent of the Green Revolution. Now you have to look into the fact that biodiversity is not lost, and we have to see to it that the pesticide use is minimal. So you have to come up with a technology which gives a solution to retain the biodiversity, to use the pesticide in a very minimal concentration. Then when people were thinking about a technology, the technology was the terminator gene technology. Actually, we don't call it as terminator gene technology. It is the genetic use restriction technology. I tell you why we are using the word terminator over here. Now let us restrict our usage of this technology as genetic use restriction technology. So this is the technology which answers about the biodiversity and the use of pesticides. Right? Now, what is this genetic use restriction technology? How do we understand about this technology? It is the genetic modification of plants to make them produce sterile seeds in the second generation. Now, these sterile seeds, now they are also called as suicide seeds, so that they cannot develop into a mature plant. So farmers have to go back to the company to buy the seeds for the next rotation. So this is an significant biotechnological innovations, and the patent is from the United States. So genetic use restriction technology. That means it is restricting the use of the genetic resources. That is, the modification of plants produce sterile seeds in the second generation, which we also call it as suicide seeds. So there is restriction for the use of the genetic resources. Now this technology was named by Rural Advancement Foundation International as Terminator technology. Because the process gets terminated. The seeds can no longer develop into a mature plant. Now, this Rural Advancement Foundation International, which is a Canadian governmental organization, has spearheaded an international campaign against this technology. So, this foundation has appropriately named it as Terminator or Terminator gene technology. Right? There is alteration in the expression of certain genes in plants so that the plants terminate their reproductive switch and make themselves sterile. So this is the basic mechanism of terminator gene technology. So this terminator alters the expression of certain genes in plants so that the plants terminate their reproductive switch and make themselves sterile. So such plants then produce seed that cannot be germinated, and the seeds cannot grow into a fully mature plant. So Terminator gene technology is not the name given by the Monsanto. Monsanto described this technology as gene protection technology. So let us be very, very clear about this. Monsanto called this technology or described this technology as gene protection technology, but the Canadian governmental organization named it as Terminator gene technology. But technically speaking, it is genetic use restriction technology. So in 1909, the transgenic crop updates, it shows that this technology could be applied in a number of ways. But it involves three basic steps. Number one, the researchers add terminator genes to a specific crop. Then the seed company initiates the terminator process before selling the seeds by adding an inducer. So it is a company which adds an inducer, it's a chemical, usually the tetracycline. First step is this researchers or the scientists, they add the terminator genes to a crop. The seed company initiates the terminator process before selling the seeds by adding an inducer. If you don't add the inducer, then probably the terminator gene expression will not be there. So it requires addition of an inducer. Then farmers plant these seeds which are exposed to an inducer. They grow plants, harvest, but the seeds are sterile. Got it? Now let us try to understand the mechanism of the terminator gene action. If you just look at this illustration, we have three gene constructs. This is gene 1, this is gene 2, this is gene 3. So let us try to carefully understand how the gene constructs are. Here you can see it is the repressor gene which has a promoter. It is a chemical responsive promoter. The promoter used is the 35S promoter from the common plant virus, that is cauliflower mosaic virus. Then we have a recombinase gene, and then we have a terminator gene, and then we have a blocking sequence or the spacer sequence, and then we have embryogenesis specific promoter. We call it as late promoter 2 because it is expressed in the later stages of development. Now what happens without an inducer? So this is the gene constructs, and these gene constructs are inserted into the crop plant. Now if there is no inducer, that is before selling to the farmers, the company adds the inducer. Now without the inducer, the repressor genes synthesize the repressor molecules. Now these repressor molecules goes and binds to the operator regions. When it binds to the operator region, no recombinase is synthesized due to the presence of these repressor molecules in the operator region. So this recombinase gene does not synthesize the recombinase enzyme. When there is no recombinase enzyme, the terminator gene remains switched off, for the reason that this particular enzyme is required to break open this sequence and releasing the spacer sequence. These flanking sequences are the sequences for recognition by the recombinase enzyme. So when there is no recombinase enzyme, these sequences are not broken up and the spacer is not released. So the seed move forward for germination and you get a fully matured plant. So that no toxin is produced and the seeds are viable. Now what happens if an inducer is added or sprayed prior to the selling of these seeds to the farmers. Now, as soon as you apply an inducer, the tetracycline, no repressor molecules are synthesized due to the chemical trigger. And then recombinase enzyme is synthesized because repressor molecules are not bound to the operator region. So that leads to the synthesis of recombinase enzyme. When the recombinase is available, then it finds the flanking sequences and then the spacer is removed and the toxin is produced. Now the gene for a toxin which is lethal to the developing embryo, we call it as toxin gene, that is controlled by the late promoter, that is LP. We call it as late promoter, as I said earlier, because it is active only during the later stages of the development, that is seed development, when the embryo is developing. Got it? So when there is an inducer, no repressor molecules are synthesized, so that activates the recombinase gene. Recombinase gene removes the spacer and then the toxin is produced. So I'll try to explain once again about the mechanism of the terminator gene technology. You have the gene construct repressor gene, recombinase gene and the terminator gene. The repressor gene without an inducer, the chemical inducer, that is tetracycline, it synthesizes the repressor molecules which goes and binds to the operator region so that no recombinase is synthesized. When there is no recombinase, then there is no terminator gene being switched on, it remains switched off, so no toxin is produced. When we add the inducer, no repressor molecules are synthesized. That activates the recombinase gene. Recombinase gene finds the sequences flanking the spacer, it removes the spacer and the toxin is produced. And this is controlled by the promoter, that is late promoter, which is active only during the late stages of the seed development. Is that clear? So it is a repetition of the mechanism what we have discussed. We have the repressor molecule and then the repressor molecules bind to the operator gene regions and then there is no production of the recombinase by the recombinase gene. And if there is no production of recombinase, then the toxin gene is not activated. If an external inducer is added, then inducer binds to the repressor. The changed repressor will not bind to the operator. Expression of recombinase gene takes place. Blocker space is cut. Expression of the target gene, that is lethal gene, and then toxin protein is present, or it is since the gene expresses, the product of the gene is the toxin. Right. Now we have two different types of genetic use restriction technology. First type is the variety specific genetic use restriction technology, or VGURT. So it is also known as suicide or sterile seed or gene technology or terminator technology. It is designed to control plant fertility or seed development through a genetic process triggered by a chemical inducer that will allow the plant to grow and to form seeds. right? Varietal genetic use technology, restriction technology, is designed to control plant fertility or seed development through a genetic process triggered by a chemical inducer, as we have seen in previous slides. Right? Now, this will cause the embryo of each of those seeds to produce a toxin that will prevent its germination if replanted. Thus, the second generation seeds are sterile. Now, the concern over here is the dispersal of the genetically modified seeds and the IPR. So, that is the concern about the varietal genetic use restriction technology. Now, we have the second type of genetic use restriction technology, that is trait specific genetic use restriction technology, or TGUT. It is also known as trait technology and is designed to switch on or off a trait, a character, a feature, and that could be a herbicide resistance or cold, drought, stress tolerance, pest resistance, germination, flowering, ripening, color, taste, nutritional qualities, defense mechanisms, production of industrial pharmaceutical compounds. So, first type is the variety or varietal genetic use restriction technology, and the second type is the trait technology or the trait genetic use restriction technology. So, this speaks about only the trait or the character. Right? So, what are the application then? The application is it protects genetic resources and innovations. And it is further useful for preventing undesired transgene flow and obtaining specific economic or agronomic trait characters or benefits. So, whether to use or not to use this technology, the debate continues. Definitely, there will be a solution to overcome the debate whether to use or not to use this technology. Right? So, with this, I'll stop today's session. I hope you have understood the mechanism of this technology, which is very, very important from academic point of view. Thank you.